Okay. Who is that? Where did he go? Oh, okay, okay. Bindu, you. So, Bindu, I'm making you host. Okay. So please take a, keep, just watch for anybody trying to join.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's begin with, uh, just, re-looking at why are we doing this exercise, this workshop. Mm. Bindu, I think I have.
Jilan,
Is my
sorry.
net all right, or are you able to? I'm
Yes, it is.
okay, okay, okay,
It's perfectly all right. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, I was attempting to answer that question.
Yeah,
Why
please.
doing this workshop?
Yeah.
Um, I liked one of the things you said. I mean, I could just say that I want to be more present, but I think that's too generic. It doesn't give me a sense of, why do I need to do this workshop to be more present, and why can't it be, say, I don't know, meditation or something else. But I liked what you said in one of the earlier sessions where you said that it's the senses are always present. I mean, if I open my eyes, I don't have a choice but to see.
Yeah.
It's the mind that goes away. It's the mind that goes missing or goes somewhere else, and which is the reason we are not present.
Yeah.
And that I think makes a lot of sense. That's the reason I am doing the workshop.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Next, someone.
Hi, Jinan. This is Nisha. So,
Yeah, please, Nisha. Yeah.
I just want to say from my so actually, when I started the workshop, it felt like it's going to be easy and sort of not easy, but sort of easier, this sort of thing, and fun to do it. I mean, and I'm not saying it's not, but I also have realized in the past week that it's a lot of hard work, in the sense that when you start out, you're just noticing things, and as you go deeper and deeper, you really have to train your present, because especially I think mine and ours in general has trained to just not really look at our keep our senses in the moment. So I have just found this week, but because there have been other things also going on, so at that time to sort of still is rooted in the moment has been difficult, and I realize it is a lot of hard work as well. So that's just been my experience so far.
Yeah. 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 So right now, I think there will be a lot of effort because we are fighting against a habit of
Exactly.
absence.
Yeah.
So the point is that unless we actually every day do it and in every moment do it, and shift our habit of presence, which means to be absent needs more effort than, you know, but that's not all that difficult. To absent is the easiest thing right now, but to be present is really, uh, initially it will be difficult. Then it must become almost like no choice, that you are there and you are seeing it, then you don't have to put an effort. And I think that is also the reason that I'm insisting that every day people must do it, so okay, thank you, Nisha.
This is Svetlana. So I think I'm taking this course, this workshop, in an effort to sharpen up my observation ability.
Yeah.
Honestly, recondition my mind to be present. But yeah, mainly to be more, to try to rely more on senses and feeling versus the mind.
Okay. Yeah. So
May
Svetlana,
I?
just 1 minute. Let me just ask her one thing, because what is happening
Yeah.
in your relationship with your child? In terms of, are you able to observe now? Is there anything that you noticed?
I am, yeah. So the last few weeks have been interesting. Yeah, I'm able to observe a little bit more, but I'm also able to observe my own impatience in terms of, rushing from one thing to the next. And kind of in between, I see this child who is really, like, he doesn't have the sense of time, right? He has no ability of, minutes, hours. He's just being present. And I've actually been kind of feeling bad because I try to rush him in an effort for me to move through the day, which distracts his ability to be there with his senses and to really use his senses as a way for living.
So it will be interesting if you can, really record this, in terms of documenting this, what is happening now. Uh, this observation that is happening, what you're, trying to do, what is happening to you. It will be nice if you can share that in your presentation also. Because basically the conflict, as you
Sure.
are telling, is between, one who is absent and one who is present, vis-a-vis children and us. So it will be nice if you can kind of record this. And how old is the child?
He's 3. He's
Okay.
3. He's gonna, yeah.
Okay.
And he's also delayed in speech, so which
Ah,
which is also an interesting point, right? Because
yeah.
I think he's still relying a lot more on his senses because his language is not well
Yeah.
developed.
Yeah. I think, these some of these myths, I think, we could look at it through this workshop. You see, I'll tell you one, interesting incident that happened. A friend of mine was sharing this story. He's an architect. So his friend was telling that his child is not able, he's not speaking, and the same delay thing he was telling. So this architect went to his house and stayed there for some time, and then he suggested that the height of the dining table, because reduce the height by about 2 feet, so that you're almost sitting on the ground and eating. Because actually the child has to hear others speaking very well, number one, and the child always observes our lip movement. So the two things that allow the child to learn to speak, one is that children must experience the world and understand that the adult is referring, when they say this, to this particular thing or this particular experience. Uh, So this would be an interesting thing if you know, if you can notice that also, how is the child, you know, developing language? That will be very interesting thing to look at actually.
Jinan, I have to say something here. This is Sharmila. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We had a family which had a similar situation. The child was 4 years old and not able to speak, but able to communicate otherwise, you know, but without language. So they went to the speech therapist. This was in the US. And
And hello, hello. Is anybody else hearing, or it's only my?
simple sentences, and then he picked up all the 3 languages well. I think now he's 10 years old or something, and he speaks fluently all the languages.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, Vera.
Interestingly, I made a slide on children, but then removed it from the presentation because I thought it's maybe later we'll come back to it. And now, surprisingly, we just talk about exactly this thing now. That's interesting journey for me. I'm not a painter or architect. My background has nothing to do with it. I have a very limited experience in drawing and sketching, whatever, anything. And when I was trying to do, I was definitely not sure sometimes what I figured out. I'm not sure what exactly I'm supposed to do. And yesterday I realized that I'm very happy about it, because I just do what I do and observe the way I observe, and I listen to other people, and it contributes me the way it contributes. This is my journey, and maybe this time I can allow it to happen the way it happens, instead of being directed all the time, because I'm a person who is very keen on direction. Keen on really throughout her life, I needed the guidance, and I always tell me the rules, and I follow the rules. I'm very good at following the rules and enjoy following the rules. So even that's why now I'm experiencing this, just doing something without kind of, I don't understand. I say, let it be, I'll do it my way, let it see where it will go. And then see, I made a slide on children, and we're talking about children. So it's like,
Yeah.
it goes into direction. So my observation as of now was that we do like one thing, try to look at the beauty and nature the way we look, more and more, as much time as we have, we devote. But at the same time, the other part of our life opens in terms of relationship with children. We do nothing, but it also somehow changes.
Yeah.
Say, I really observed when I was, there is a presentation, slides on presentation. First time I was drawing the leaf of cabbage leaf. I started putting the leaf together, and I was like, wow, listen. And while I was doing it, children were around, and they started really contributing, asking, taking a leaf, doing something, that we started drawing something different. And I really experienced first time in my life exactly what you were saying a couple of sessions before, that children do things together. We just draw several pictures just together. You know, started the one put this, the other put that, I put that, then we said a story, then we did this, and we together build it, and it's like so natural. like one day was really beautiful. It was really like naturally contributing, and then colors, and then story came, and they were just there. Everything for them was fine. It was flowing. For me, it was difficult. I was thinking how to flow, how to put, okay, they put this, what should I do? And for them, it was like, they're doing it. They just, everything is like, I don't know, as if I struggle to some extent. I was trying not to disrupt them, thinking of the example you've given to us about how the children do it. And I thought, let me experience it myself. And I found this, for me, it's challenging. It's not that easy to follow the flow and just be so quick, because they're quick, they're so fast. They're just changing joy, and this, they go, this happens. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I just cannot follow you. I cannot keep the pace. There is no guidance, there is no direction. I don't know where we finish. I cannot keep the pace. I'm struggle. And also yesterday I was trying to do a little bit more and put it more on the slides. And then they really started distracting me. But I think they wanted something different, right? I was clicking pictures and they were putting hands there, stopping me for clicking pictures. Then I was started drawing. Then they said, no, you put it here. And then I was like, guys, I know what I want to do. This is my piece of work. And they were just really, and then I said, I can't. And I realized, honestly, there was even a conflict between us. Because now I think it's like, I'm not able to adapt. I'm not ready to, they are fine, they're doing, they can contribute, they can put, I have troubles, I don't know how to name it. So that's, and my point was only that kids will come back to it, but I see my opening towards the leads to the opening with children and understanding what they do more.
Absolutely.
It kind of works together. I don't do anything with them. I do just this work, but there is a link that is being built.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to share. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Ita?
Yeah, I think I have a similar experience what Vera has just narrated. Even my children, I have two children. One is 9 and the other one is 3.5. So I take them out almost every day for say like 2 hours outside, so that we roam around, play in the campus. We have a big campus, green campus in ISA in Mohali. So both of them, when I'm observing the leaves, flowers, they like my daughter, the 9-year-old daughter, she's fond of all those from the very beginning. She keeps doing those, like collecting stones, collecting leaves, twigs, feather. She keeps doing that. Since couple of months, she's not doing it. Like she has some other interests, like she got new friends, and many more activities depending on her age. So when I was collecting those beautiful leaves, she also started collecting, behind me. Also the younger one, he kept on collecting whatever he wants to collect. And when I came back home and I was trying to create those colors on the paper, my daughter has created all of it in front of me, all the colors. And she said, see, Mama, I created. I said, let me create myself. I like it because day before that I have created couple of colors and I was enjoying how it turns out to be. And I said, it was so nice. I was creating the colors and I was, painting those leaves. She said, you could have done it much earlier. I keep doing that. I enjoy every day whenever I do that. You didn't do it with me when I was doing that. Now you are enjoying. Now you're telling me that you're enjoying now. I did it many years back also. I keep doing it. You never did. So I do it, but once in a while, and not the structured free painting I do along with them. But then she was telling me, I keep doing that almost every day. I was enjoying every day. And now you're telling me you're enjoying now when you're doing the workshop. Like I was like feeling a bit, funny actually. Like, and she's saying, I was enjoying every day. You didn't enjoy it. Now you're enjoying with the workshop. So children was along with me the elder one, she has created all the colors in front of me very quickly. And then I again recreated. I said, please don't do it. My colors will be all, over before I create my leaves colors. But she did it all, and I could see all the colors were there in front of me in a plate.
Yeah.
So we do participate when we are doing participate, or they do it as we keep doing it. Yeah, they are all the time around us doing what we are doing.
Yeah.
So that's how that's my experience.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to point out is that how we are damaging children is also by fragmenting their holistic activity into different fragments. We have something called art, which is different from language, which is different from science. So in several ways, actually, we are damaging them. So the idea is also that in this process, since there are so many from COVID, we must look at how not to fragment their, seeing of the world, as an integral, entity. Actually, see, the thing is that we are born whole, but it is through the way the adults have organized everything into fragments. We also fragment the world into different parts, and also we fragment the body and mind, because the mind is absent. As you can see, for children, the mind and body is working together. Their senses they are alive. They are aware of the senses. They know, they are in experience. Actually, we are taking them out of it. So these are I think, the principles that we need to keep in mind. And maybe later sometime we can also do something on drawing. Later. But drawing as an observation. See, all this, I think, it's all about observation. Whether you are, whether a scientist, an artist, everybody, these are again our fragments. Actually, all this requires observation. That's all. So just want to, see if especially the people who are teachers in COVID can explore this aspect about integrating this, art and things like that. And I think, if since your all parents are also present, it will be an interesting exploration together, actually. Yeah, Vandana.
Hi. So I want to talk about the process of drawing. So last time I'm left-handed, and last time you asked me that, and you suggested that I draw with my right hand. So I've been doing it for the last couple of days, and it was a very different experience. Like I thought it would be hard for me to draw with my right hand, but somehow it was very effortless in a way. So I think when I draw with my left hand, so I'm looking at something and then I'm looking at the paper. So with my right hand, the experience was like I was looking at something and I continued to look at it while I kept drawing with my right hand. So the movement was very different in the process of drawing. And also, I guess because, I didn't have any expectation out of that process of drawing. And so I just wanted to share that I think it was a wonderful experience, because you just keep drawing and you keep looking at the thing, and somehow, it's not that what I drew was completely off from what I was looking. So there was that connection with the hand and the mind without giving that, lifting the pencil from the paper. And so I wanted to share this, that I've been doing it and I'm quite enjoying it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I don't know what made you suggest that in the first place. You said you wanted to, it helps to break a pattern, but I would like to understand, like,
yeah, actually,
go deeper into that.
As I was telling now, that we form two types of habits. One is, of course, our, psychological cognitive habits. And in that process, we also body also gets into a habit form, no? How you draw. See, for example, when you draw a human being, you don't start from the leg, no? Correct, no? When you draw a human being,
Yeah.
you don't start from the leg, correct? So you always find that we form a certain set of rules, habits. So once in a while, it is interesting to break that. It's not that you have to, there is any rule that you should start from any place. But habit is a thing that we should be worried about. I'm talking in terms of only for us adults. This is nothing to do with children, because children normally, if we don't interfere, they will not form such habits actually, because children are spontaneous by nature, and they also have a very inherent mechanism to address habit formation. Whereas in our case, because we have been schooled, because of schooling, we have lost spontaneity, and a certain kind of mechanical habit formation has taken place. So I think we can begin to look at what we are doing and begin to break each of our habits, that we will be aware of. Now, this is my habit. So let me do it in another way today. So that is the both physical and the psychological habits, and of course, everywhere we form certain habits. So it will be nice if we can just become aware of that, and then see if you want to break it, and uh, to ensure that we don't always get trapped by habit. That's it.
Yeah, Jinan, can I
Yeah.
say something?
Yeah, no, Preeti, yes.
Yeah, so for me, coming to this workshop was after I listened to that presentation or whatever you call it, in the introduction to this workshop you had posted. So I thought I found a a community, probably, like it gels with my idea of it, and I can I want to say three things. First is, like, when I was it's like one of the most beautiful memories. I don't know whether it's like what I remember from my childhood is many things, but there's this one instance also. While walking back from somewhere, I just stopped one day, and there was a lot of something, butterflies and flowers, and then later on in life, when I went for some practices, meditative and some other practices, these things started coming up, those one is that. Another is that later on, I grew up in a village, and the most enjoyable part of that was being in house of my aunt, who and the family was farmers, like they were farmers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't explain so much which used to happen over there, because so and then when we came to city, it was something, what you call damage. Now I can understand. And even then, a part of it, I think, remained, because in university, when my friends were going like somewhere, I would just stand suddenly and say, look at that tree. And they would say, ये पागल है, इसको देखने दो, हम चलते हैं. वो कहते थे, इसको देखने दो, हम चलते हैं. फिर सब आगे बढ़ जाते थे. मैं खड़ी होके देखती रहती थी. And then after that, I went for Vipassana later, like quite later then. And when somebody asked me कि वहाँ क्या हुआ, and I was standing, I still remember, near that library of Delhi University, arts faculty, and my answer was, I can see that tree very clearly. So it's like finding this, so you bring me back to all this. That's it. I mean, yeah.
Jinan, can I say?
Yeah, sure, Shalu.
So as Well, the first thing is, why am I doing this course or attending these sessions? Is I'm an artist, but somewhere I think down the lane I was feeling very blocked because I'm a commercial artist. I paint walls for people, I do mosaics for people, but everything is happening for architects, for houses. So whenever I'm doing something, it's not exactly like my ideas or my interpretation, but it's more of like listening to the people whom you're working for and then eventually creating something with that. And for the past few years, I had started feeling like, where am I? Or where is my expression? Because whatever I was doing is somewhere I would like to an extent I started feeling I'm an art prostitute because I'm seriously not doing anything for myself, I'm doing for others. And although I'm doing what I love doing art, but it was still not what I would want to do. And so that's when I thought that I think you could help me. I felt blocked somewhere. And although I had it, now when she's talking about the childhood, like, when even I go back to my childhood, and I remember my mother was teaching me Sanskrit. And she's, poor lady, she's preparing a worksheet to, give it to me, that she'll fill in the worksheet, and then, as mothers teach you. And I'm like looking at a fly, a house fly. And this is like when I must have been in fifth standard or something. And by the time my mother prepares the whole worksheet and she gives it to me, I ask her, Mama, why is this fly doing like this? It was basically the antenna, they rub their legs and all. So I was, and why are the colors like this? And my mother gave me good one back. Like, I am really preparing a worksheet for you and you're not even revising anything. That was the first blow on my this thing, which completely, like, took me off what I was as a child. The other time when it happened was when the teacher would be teaching in the class, and I would just keep looking outside because I would see there was a squirrel who was sitting there. And I would keep observing that squirrel, how she eats, how she holds it, and how, her tail goes whenever she's speaking, the tail goes tong. Every time they say, the tail always moves. And I was observing all of this, and then suddenly one pat comes on my head. My teacher's like, "Where are you looking at? And what are you doing?" And these kind of things, I think although I must have come out of it, but somewhere it is still there in me, and I want to come out of that. And I'm just looking for people or like anybody who can just help me come out of that whole thing and go back to the nature and go back to my observations which I had as a child, which I've lost it. And I know we all know why I have lost it, but then I want to get them back now. And this experience, I realized when my daughter went through the same. And Gaura, the elder one, she was in Mothers International in Delhi. I was a teacher there. And we had chosen that school thinking that, this school is like a perfect combination of Sri Aurobindo's teachings and like a middle path for a conventional and an alternative system, or it will be better than the other schools. So her teacher called me in first standard. She just called me. One student was sent to me, and they were like, "Ma'am is calling you." And I went, and the teacher said it's been 1 hour, and she hasn't done anything in this notebook. And this was in front of 30 children, Jinan. And I had tears in my eyes. I just went to my child and I was like, "Are you having a headache?" I knew she was not having any headache, but I could see, the thing that happened with me was happening to her now. And I knew she
Mhm.
must have been looking out of the window and she's looking. And the teacher was like, "She's looking out and she's not doing anything." That was the day I pulled out my child from the school, and I realized that the way it happened to me, it is happening to my child now. And no matter how good a school was, I pulled her out. Then eventually she went to Mirambika, and there she blossomed a little. But as you said, like you went to NID, and even there you felt, we eventually pulled her out of NID, Mirambika also, and both the kids were homeschooled.
Okay.
And because we
Yes.
realized like even that is not what my
Yeah.
child,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
whatever said and done, when there are 10 people together, we somehow tend to form a curriculum without even knowing we do that, because I understand I've been an art teacher for good like 10 years. It's difficult to control all of them, or it's difficult to give attention to each one. So we tend to pick a middle path. That's what, like, a middle path. So I just don't want that middle path anymore in my life. I just I want that blockage to go from my head. And I'm not doing any I'm not doing any documentation, but I'll tell you how you have helped me. So last week I was in Karwar at the naval this thing, and we were installing a sculpture which we have done for them. This sculpture is standing on a 2 feet pipe. That is it. And it's a 12 feet sculpture. Now, to make that sculpture stand was the most difficult task, because it's huge. It's 12 feet height and 12 feet width. It's the crest of the navy. It's a Vajrakosh like thing which is just standing on one. It's like a cross. And now this is where it is standing on. And how you helped me was when I was observing, and I was like, I saw the trees. I said, okay, now what we have to do is, from the base, when we are doing, we have to weld the iron rods like the root of the trees. And this is the only way this sculpture can stand. So in the ground, when we were doing the concrete, I told them to weld the iron rods in the tree form, exactly like roots, like one rod is going from the rod, then we attached more rods to it, and it was almost spreading the same level as the width of the sculpture. So if 12 feet was the width, 6 feet is what we, under the ground, we literally spread the roots. That's where you helped me.
No,
And I
the tree
knew
helped you. The tree helped you.
the tree helped me, but you helped me to observe that tree कि ये इतना पतला लंबा पेड़ ऐसे कैसे खड़ा हुआ है. So its roots नीचे जा रही हैं. So although I didn't see the roots, but that thought came, that okay, how is this tree standing? So this tree is standing because the roots are spread inside, which are holding him. So that's like, that was an achievement for me, because that was like, and I didn't want this sculpture to fall. I was telling all the officers, look, every project is a challenge for us. You also sleep with it, I also sleep with it. If it falls, I really can't help it. Like, we'll see what to be done later. But we definitely didn't want any support on that sculpture, because aesthetically it would have killed it completely. So these 2 weeks have been like those kind of observations for me, because I'm working constantly. So it's very difficult for me to document in a physical form, but in my head, what I came here for, it's kind of happening now. And I'm forcing myself to take out some time, which I never do. Like, as a mother, as a working woman, it's so difficult to take out time for yourself. But now somewhere I force myself, okay, no, not 2 hours, but at least half an hour or 1 hour. I just sit and I observe. I look around, doing nothing. If somebody looks at me, he's like, what is she doing? She's doing nothing. But then I am taking out that time, whether it is my morning walks or anything. So I'm sure I will be able to come out of that block, which is always there in my head. Kuch create karna hai. Matlab even in the art college, you have to make something, and it's always कुछ बड़ा बनाना है, कुछ बड़ा करना है, and that completely blocks you कि तुम छोटा छोटा काम भी नहीं कर पाते. So I'm like, again, starting from the small, just a small thing, so which is giving me a strength to, okay, just do with something small. It's okay. Even if it doesn't come out well, it's okay. The whole thing तुमने art किया है, you're a graduate from art, is like killing you from inside, because the expectations from yourself has become too much. मुझे ये लगता है मैंने आर्ट कॉलेज किया तो मेरी तो स्केचिंग अच्छी होनी चाहिए, मेरा ये अच्छा होना चाहिए, I should be close to the reality, I should sketch closer to the reality. And in that whole form, I'm losing it. I'm seriously losing it. I just wanted to be okay with whatever I am, and to be like fine, and just forget that art college, that unlearning that you were saying. That is what had hit me. The whole thing that I read, he will help me unlearn. He will help me uncondition myself. And this is all I need today. Just to forget that I'm an art graduate, just to forget I have done art. Nothing. I just want to do what I love doing. And So that's why I am here, and that's how that these are the experiences that I'm having, which is I'm loving it. I'm seriously loving it. Thank you so much. Last workshop also I loved it, but ये ना बहुत ही शमशान ज्ञान की तरह हो जाता है. जब तक हम वहां होते हैं शमशान, like right now we are with you, all this is happening, but then the moment the workshop is over, we go back to our real life, we go back and we tend to start forgetting all of this. So I want to keep continuing this process where, you know, keep learning. It's like reading a good book again and again. Although हमें theoretically सब पता है, जो आप बात कर रहे हो मुझे पता है, लेकिन उसको implement करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. So that's when you come in the scene कि आप थोड़ा सा करते हो, वो जब आप push करते हो तो वो होता है. Otherwise theoretically सब पता है, but practically getting it into your life is very difficult. So that's why like these workshops really help, and like a session with you is bringing back all of this to the reality. And I think next time, whenever, let's have it as soon as possible so that I don't forget. And I keep living that till it becomes a part of my life. You know, it won't happen in one session. It is, for me at least, I know it is not going to happen in one session. I have to keep doing it. I have to keep like doing it to become like a part of my life. That okay, now I start breathing that, you know, as you said, pushing yourself. And so I want to start breathing it now, you know. Just want to forget everything. It'll take time. It has taken a lot of time, but I feel I'm getting closer to that now. I can feel it every day. I see some good art, I see some good thing, I feel inspired. Okay, yes, you know, inspired not to do something, but just inspired. You're feeling nice, you're feeling, oh yes, this is so good. You know, just that excitement is so beautiful. So
Thank
that's
you.
why I'm here. Thank you. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
Yeah. Harkamal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hello, Jinan. Hello, everyone. So why I wanted to attend this workshop was that I wanted to, I felt in my life that connection to aesthetics and beauty was missing. And being part of Kovida community for almost a decade. And uh, so Kovida incorporates aesthetics into everything that they do. Like beauty is part of the work that they're doing. And I felt that that somewhere it was um, missing or not there. That connection to creativity, where if I'm drawing, it just flows. So that is why I wanted to explore beauty and art. And when I heard about this workshop, and because integral education has been a part of my life, and because Jinan's approach is the same, and so I felt that really it's a wonderful thing to do it this way. Yeah. And that's why I have done it. And like everybody shared, it's so wonderful to hear everyone. And I think it adds to my experience also when I hear everyone. I also felt that with observation,
Pardon, with?
with observation, so just going in observation, so it's not limited to just that for me, not that 1 hour or half an hour exercise. It has kind of, without my realizing it, it has seeped into all other areas of my life.
Yeah.
I redid my living room. Yeah, kind of not read it, just like move the furniture around. There's no fancy redoing. Yeah, I've been looking at my potted plants. I rearranged them, and these are very simple minor activities. Again, nothing fancy. You know, I'm dressing in a different way. Yeah, you know, my room looks a little bit different. Yeah, so it's like, it's kind of like seeping in everywhere. And just when all of this was going on, and I picked up a leaf and I was looking at it, and i uh, I was really so moved looking at it. Just I felt that, like, we look for beauty, and we search everywhere. We're looking at, you know, the big things, the big experiences, and it's so mundane, this leaf, and it's so beautiful. It's so amazing how the colors are. Just one leaf I picked up from where I was sitting,
Yeah.
and it has brought home to me that you know, it's right there. I'm just missing it. And again, like yeah, someone was sharing about the struggle, and it's the same thing. Even now, when I was observing, I see that how as I observe, I go into the description part. This is what it looks. So the mind starts working. So I I see that the experience of beauty in that moment is just missing. And I'm like, oh, what happened to me? You know, where did it go? So it's like I feel that, so observation brings that home to me. And I feel like Jinan very rightly pointed out, it's an habit and it can be let go of. And I'm sure that we are all in the path towards that. So thank you so much.
You know, one of the things that I feel today, what is very important is that uh, we have to, you know, we have to start documenting what we are doing. There are two things actually. One is documenting what we are doing. Second is try to understand our inner experiences and begin to articulate it. What I'm trying to say is that what is implicit, you know, we should try and make it explicit. The reason because is that we have disturbed the natural process of things, you know, that learning was not a choice, it was just happening, you know, but we interfered and we created completely wrong ideas about it. And now our default is that we are in the realm of wrong, you know. So what we do with children is, you know, against their own nature. This is what we are doing. You know? So I think it is very important that that even no, I'm also referring to the school. No, it will be good if school can also begin to document what they have, you know, what they are trying to do as a collective, as a group, you know, with parents and teachers together, because that is what is really going to help you to grow actually. Otherwise, it's because everywhere things are happening. And even when I look at my own work, uh, my strength has been my documentation. So it is not just observation. I also began to document everything that I am seeing. And this helps me to every time revisit these documentations and you know, making what is implicit explicit is not very easy actually. So it's because, you know, uh, because explicit, what we can do is with language, but implicit is experiential because it is multi-dimensional, multi-sensory, you know. Just so many things are happening at the same time, but the moment you begin to make it explicit, writing language, it becomes very linear. And you know, but even then I think it is very important that we try to articulate it, so that slowly we have you know, a collection of things that other people can, you know, that we can share with other people, you know. I think I'm able to share my experience only because I began to document things that I've been doing, you know. And I think this, see, actually for life, this is not required at all, actually, you know. But the problem is that we have come to a wrong realm now, you know, from the word go. When a child is born, we are working against the nature of the child. I mean, that is the general movement now. No, now look at the NEP. NEP wants even parents to be teachers. They want to turn the home into school. You know, that's the whole idea. So, you know, everybody is against the true nature of children, spontaneity, freedom, learning. You know, and there are very, very few people who are consistently trying to understand it and make it into a proper, what do you call that? Understandable or tangible kind of a material. Nobody has made it actually. Many people would say schooling is bad, that is go, that deschooling, this, that, but there is no systematic understanding of that. And of course, the difference between systemization that modernity does, what I'm proposing are two different ways actually. What modernity does is to forcefully organize thought, organize materials forcefully with reason. What I'm trying to say is that pay attention to what is happening, and naturally articulation will happen and you start recording it. This is just now what happened with here right now is that, that we began to share actual experiences. Nobody made any theory right now. You can see that nobody was making any theory out of it. But whatever you shared itself has that, deep, understandings. Because, see, I have been actually looking at whatever experiments the West is doing in alternative education, schooling and all that. And I think they are completely missing certain points actually, because of, because of rationality, because of many other psychological issues are there, So I think only, people who are more closer to nature. What I mean by nature is more closer to indigenous communities, more closer to illiterate people, because they are not schooled. That's the reason, and most of you are referring to your village experience, having lived with very simple people, so that is our source actually. Definitely children are our source, provided we know how to make them into a source for us to learn. Because when children are born, they are born with all the natural possibilities. They are nature, they are, inherently capable of learning, understanding, provided we are able to create a space that doesn't interfere with their natural awakening. So I think it is, it would be an interesting thing to, begin to start writing if possible, don't force, but maybe like the way that now we are spending some time to observe, maybe you can also spend some time to write, but don't force writing. Let the pen move, let words come out, Well, often I wonder that, many times my English, I don't think it is good, but I quite often find that, I'm just writing. And then I wonder, did I write this? If people ask me to write again, I can't, But I've never been forcing any writing, forcing this thing to come out. So there is already something that is happening, happening inside, and when it is full, it is just coming out, Yeah.
Jinan, can I ask you to elaborate a little about this one sentence that one of the parents spoke about? She said that the conflict, well, you said the conflict is between one who is absent and who is present, not between a child and an adult. Because she was talking about how if you rush a child, then he's leaving his senses. Can you just explain a little more about that?
No, what I'm trying to say is that actually the modern parents, educated parents and children belong to two different ways of being. Children choicelessly are present. They are not choosing it. They are choicelessly are spontaneous. Choicelessly they are learning the world. They are exploring, So they are present all the time. They are truly open. So that is what I meant actually. So they you know, they are present. Whereas we have been trained to be absent, you know, we have been educated to be absent. We are all the time in the mind. And when we approach a child, we approach the child with prior knowledge. That at this age this should happen, at that age that should happen, you know. So we are full of knowledge. We are not observing what is happening to the child. So naturally, the adult is past, is absent. Presence meaning that the adult is observing the child and respecting whatever the child is doing, you know. So that's what I meant actually.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Anybody?
Janan, it's very interesting that you just said this, because I find there is a conflict between kind of like my life and my child life. And I think this is what you just articulated, because I can totally see how he's in present, right? He lives in present, but that comes in direct conflict with my lifestyle, because I'm as an Western adult, right? I'm constantly in my thoughts, right? I'm constantly in between actions, like doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that's in my mind, that's constantly comes in contradiction, in conflict with my child.
Yeah. These actions are also planned actions. They're not spontaneous actions. That is another problem. Correct, no?
Yes, exactly. It's all planned, and it's all pre-planned thousands of times, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else who wants to share?
Jinan,
Yeah.
When you were saying documenting anything we are experiencing, it could be any language, like you're saying, we can write also, we can draw also, whichever way we feel, whatever language we are comfortable with, we should be documenting it, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to understand, how does the documenting like happen, or how should I do it?
No, actually, documenting actually means, number one is that first thing is that you are aware of what is happening. You're conscious of what is happening.
Okay.
So actually, when I, for example, when I go and, I go to design schools to teach. So every time I observe what is happening and I document whatever the work children are doing. So each time I make a document for myself.
Okay.
So most workshops get documented. When I conduct workshops, live workshops also. Because I think it is, and also each time I want to put together a workshop, I begin as if this is the first time I'm doing the workshop. So I think there is this constant revisiting is important. Constantly revisiting what we think we know. Because the modern knowledge system is always additive. You know this much, now you add more, you keep adding more and more and more. Who knows what you started with was completely wrong.
True.
Actually, that is a fact. If you look at the the research on children, it began with completely wrong ideas on children, and they are building it up like anything now.
Right.
What is happening? They don't know what to do now. And they will never find it, because there is a ban on authenticity in the Western academia. You have to always say who said that reference, no?
Yes.
So you can only build knowledge on existing knowledge.
True.
So what I'm talking about documentation is a very clear, for me, there are only two things. One is that what is knowledge construction? Second is about the child. What is a child? My focus is only on these two things, What I mean by knowledge construction is how do you be in the world? Because modernity has, completely misunderstood all this, fragmented everything, art is something else. See, there was no art, the notion of art is, as I was telling, it's the modern conception is just maybe 19th or 18th century end as self-expression and all that. There was nothing to do with self-expression before 18th century, but we are pretending as if it was there. It is the human thing. No, none of the indigenous communities have the word art in their vocabulary. So art is a mental construct,
Okay.
They would do, they would do color, they would do paint, but those are have completely different role altogether. The role, the role was completely different. You can go to any village today. You will
It's a
find
part
that
of their life. It's not art. It's like
they will do various activities, which are, beautiful. And they don't even talk about beauty because beauty is so integral to that, what they are doing. It's the same
true.
thing with freedom. Same thing with freedom.
How do you say that?
No, freedom is a very modern, misunderstood idea.
Okay.
All existence is in freedom. Only in freedom, biological things can function, A dog is in freedom till you make it into a pet.
True.
Then you're controlling it. Otherwise, every living being is free. They are moving around. Nobody's asking. You see, this is a difference that in a rural tribal area, you will never find a child asking permission to their parents. Should I do that? Should I do this? And the adult parent will never say, hardly ever say no to their children. Hardly ever.
Okay.
So in a situation like that, freedom is given by nature. It's not something that is intellectually understood. You're living it, You don't talk about it. You don't, there are no, treaties written on it. You are free. It's not something that there's no need to talk about that. But you can see that within the modern context, you treat the child as incapable. No, instruction is one thing. No is a second word all the time the child hears, and then you create fear. And you don't want the child to have pain. So you protect the child every time something the child does. So there is always constraints, restraints, instructions, control. This is the experience of modern childhood. Then what freedom are we talking about? Of course, then the worst takeover is your cognitive freedom itself. The knowing being, which is choiceless, that you control and turn it into, analyzer of somebody's information, and you call it knowledge.
Yeah. So this is like you're just repeating. Yesterday, my daughter, she just went to Bombay yesterday, and she plays viola. She's into Western classical. She was supposed to go to Kyrgyzstan last year. She got admission in one of the music conservatories there, which didn't happen due to COVID. So still, she's like, her teacher is calling her there that you don't join the school, but you come and stay with me and you play, which was actually, as a homeschooling family, was the best for us. We were like, she'll be staying and there'll be like a proper guru shishya thing that will happen with her. But somehow, due to the COVID thing, so yesterday she called me, Mama, see, SOI, that NCPA in Bombay, they are taking children and they are taking basically the violists, anybody. So shall I apply for it? And I was actually thinking that, but why are you asking from me? You decide what you want to do, what you decide, what has to be done. And now when you're talking, I'm realizing that in spite of all that, the freedom that you're talking about has, but she still sometimes, she asks me.
Mm.
And now that, like, you've talked about it, I know, okay, how to deal with it, because I'm also learning with all of this, that although my child is asking, but how to give her that confidence also, that I'm there with her, and just take your own decisions that you want to. It's okay, it's fine. But sometimes we just lose it, and we feel whether the child is, like, now what should she do, whether she should go to Kyrgyzstan or she should stay in Bombay and join the. So yesterday I did that. I said, just do whatever you feel is right for you, and you feel at this moment is what you need. Don't think of 4 months down the lane. If this is what you're getting right now, just take it or do whatever.
Yeah.
It's there's such a fine line. There's a fine line of how to tell the child that you take your own decision, but not giving your inputs to that. Because although I said that, you take your own decision, but with that I gave her,
Yeah. Okay,
I gave her
Shalu.
my.
Does anybody else wants to say anything?
Sorry, yeah.
Hello.
50% have not spoken actually.
I'm so sorry today.
No, don't worry.
Shalu, you're actually, it's quite moving, your experience. So thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yes. Both there is a mother and father. I mean, mother and daughter here.
Yeah.
I'd rather tell. Yeah.
Yeah. No, of course. Um, uh, this actually, I taught in Delhi University for 24 years, and uh, though I love teaching, the experience itself was very, very painful, deeply painful. And in the university, um, whenever I raised this problem, I was made to feel that I had a psychological problem, and that I had almost a mental problem. And in fact, a colleague of mine said that I should see a doctor when I when I initially started teaching. Now I'm able to stand outside. And so anyway, I after 24 years I left the university with a, deep sense of um, you know of how it was not possible to I mean of the disaster that the university has become, because most of one's students were bright young people, but they were not happy with what they were doing. They didn't know why they were there in the university. And at well, so that is one level at which, as soon as I saw uh, your mail, I felt that maybe where one had failed to get to the bottom of the problem, maybe you could throw light. And of course, lot of light has been thrown. Dhriti used to be very ill when she was a child, and the sort of problem that Shalu faced at uh, mother school. We actually stay right opposite mother school on the IIT campus, and mother school refused to have Dhriti because we said she had this illness. So though she did reasonably well in her interview, the principal actually said to us, said to me that when I went to say that, we stay right opposite, she said, oh, we don't have time to look after normal, healthy children. So what, I mean, why do you expect us to want to take on a child who is not well? So in fact, I spent a lot of time trying to get some documentation of this response in the newspaper. It took me 6 months to contact, I mean, and where every morning I would contact a reporter to ask them to report this thing. And it took me 6 months to get someone to do a write-up, by which time, of course, we were, and yeah, homeschooling was not an option because perhaps maybe I was not ready for it, or I had not met Jinan. Child who is ill. So that was one. And the other thing that I found really revolting in school was the red pen. You are trying to correct sentences of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, rather than wanting to know what the child is trying to say to you. So I think to all these things, so that is at one level as a parent and as a teacher. And at the other level, of course, what you have been talking about, the cognitive, being a philosopher, one is directly exposed to the foundations of modernity, and one is trying to look at answers from as against the modern philosophical tradition. So that at a professional level, that has been really something. When you talked of deep introductory passage, that is why I felt that this, both at a personal and professional level, there would be answers. I hope that Dhriti, my daughter who has joined, also is listening to all this, because at some level she used to feel that there's not only something wrong with her, but that she's not a good child, or that she's not a good person, and that is why people distance themselves from her. So I hope she makes I mean, that she becomes a more confident person from the sessions that we are having here. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Pallavi, Vinesh, Mallikarjun, Neha, Lavanish. Just calling out names who has not spoken anything.
Hi, Mr. Jiran. I just wanted to share my experience. One thing I noticed was sort of my interest of observation shifted from the thing that I was observing to my own thought, and to look at that. So one thing I really experimented was when I was playing table tennis, to like really pay close attention to what I am doing. But I found that if I paid too much attention to how I'm holding the racket, or too much attention on where the ball is traveling, I started making mistakes. Then I realized that there needs to be a certain balance which is very hard to find. Like, I need to pay attention, but I also need to stay relaxed enough to play instinctively. And I realized this process of paying attention itself was becoming mechanical after a point. Like, I was trying too hard to pay attention. I mean, it sounds ridiculous that maybe I was trying too hard to be spontaneous. So that was one of the things I noticed.
Yeah.
And another was, the only truly spontaneous thing that happened in the past few days was I went for a walk without any intention of doing anything. I just went for a walk because I was in my room for a long time. I went for a walk, and immediately after a point, these two leaves just caught my attention. These beautiful colored leaves, but it was, I didn't plan to look at them at all. There was no intention.
So they
But
came to you.
once I picked, yeah, they came to me. Like I didn't do anything. So what happened after that was, once I picked up those leaves, my entire walk was ruined, because then I started only collecting leaves.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. And another thing I noticed was, I just sat on my terrace for like hours just watching the birds fly. And the things that I perhaps didn't notice earlier was the kites, they just
Glide home.
glide for time. We all know that. But the kites also glide upwards, which to my senses is mechanically very difficult. But also, when I notice that when one is looking at far away objects, it is easier to get carried away by one's thoughts. And when one is paying closer attention to things close by, like a leaf, or suppose when I'm paying attention to my hands while I'm eating, it is possible to experience moments of thoughtlessness that time, and it's difficult to get carried away by one's thoughts. And also, just paying close attention, if suppose while I'm eating, it slows down my actions, and it also, for a moment, it doesn't make me worry about time is getting over or something. And I've been trying to eat slowly for months and years now, but this made it possible. So that was one thing. And another thing I noticed about my own nature was that there has been a change in the nature of my own curiosity. Like for about 25 years, I was not a good student. So I didn't study much in school ever. Engineering, obviously, I didn't study. And I used to play outside and do all sorts of things. And I noticed that I always used to think in pictures and movie scenes or images. But now in the past few years, the moment from when I started studying philosophy seriously, I noticed that my thinking has become verbal. I think in language, or I think in terms of speaking. And I also experienced that this process of documenting, I had stopped in between, because I thought my perception itself is corrupted by a desire to narrate. So that was one thing. And the nature of curiosity has changed. The nature of curiosity is to find out answer quickly and record it in my brain. The curiosity is not anymore that, oh, I don't know this, let me try to taste this or smell this. It's like wanting to watch a movie but reading the reviews beforehand and then going to watch a movie.
Okay.
So these are some of the observations that I had. And rest, perhaps I'll write it later and let others speak now.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, that's nice. Paying closer attention to us is also very much part of this process. So other thing that I want, people to reflect is that, did this, now this is the fifth, session. Did these activities that we are doing affected our taste at the taste level? Food, eating and all that. Did this has any impact? That's one thing that I'm keen to know.
Yeah, for me, I think for me personally, I was always very sensitive to taste and smell. So that has remained the same. Maybe I just find things more salty, I guess.
Anybody else? Rohit is keeping quiet today.
Yes. So basically, I just my observations and the line of exploration have remained quite similar to some of the things that even Mallikarjun mentioned, and I've been taking it forward through the sessions as we went along. So this, so basically, as you were mentioning that and right now also you mentioned about taste. So in fact, I have particularly paid attention to all the senses, because you mentioned that the experience is about senses. And that's what I also realized, that we tend to experience through the mind somehow. We have been trained that way, and we always just experience through the mind, and we don't take while the senses are there functioning all the time, and all the five senses are taking inputs at every moment. But we tend to sense through the mind. We try to experience through the mind only. And that's where, so I was trying to come back to the senses to try to focus. By the same time, one thing that I was finding very hard was that if I focus on, say, one of the senses, say either the sight or the or my ears or the taste, so then I am focusing only on one and I'm missing on the other, and then I move to the other, then I'm missing on the other, and so on. So I was trying to see how can I probably be aware of all of them at once. And to that, even while say I'm doing something which is not about the taste, I did see that, okay, there is always this element of taste. Also, if you're focusing on that also, in any experience, that also is there. Though I don't know if it has changed in any way, but yes, I did realize that the presence of that element as well. So there have been moments where I seem to have been, be present for all the senses at some time, but it has been very difficult because I think, at least I tend to experience through the mind itself. And also, like Mallikarjun was also saying, that it is always about verbalizing, verbal and just thinking in terms of words and thoughts. Thoughts just seep in over there. And again, same thing when you're saying about articulating, I also felt that articulation somewhere, because when we verbalize, we are not there with the experience itself anymore. We just leave the senses and we are again with the mind. And that comes from the past, the memory, thoughts, and so on. And it's not the real thing. So these were certain things going, and I was just today also trying to listen intently about this. But yes, my whole thing has been to just be with the senses as far as possible, and that's what I've been trying to do.
Thank you. So before I forget, I wanted to inform everybody that we have a group, trying to create a group to do some systematic research on various aspects of the modern crisis in terms of children, knowledge creation, damages of modernity, etc. So if anyone of you are interested in joining that, please feel free to write to me. So I will add you onto the or email me so I can add you onto the group that is trying to but the request is that you will have to put some effort if you are joining that group to do certain things. Of course, for some time, of course, you can be an onlooker for some time, but slowly try and put in an effort. So one of the activity that that we want to is about understanding children deeply. Basically, that is the focus of this, and then initiating that how do we reclaim our childlike qualities, which is to do with learning, spontaneity, etc. These are the two fundamental things, and then of course to make a good kind of a documentation that can be shared with others. That's the other very important thing. And one thing that I've been thinking in the morning is that certain amount of selflessness is important to understand anything, actually, for that matter. What this means is that the moment self is involved, then it becomes personal and it becomes for you, you know. And often what I find with people who have been interested in children is that it doesn't last for long, because when their children grows up, their interest in children is gone. That has been something, you know, that is because you're interested in your child. If you can extend that to childhood, you know, not just your child, but children all over, you know, childhood as a state, you know, as a stage in our life, you know, then only this will prolong. And I think a certain amount of selflessness is required, even to understand your own child, because it's, you know, when you're too close, you're creating another story around it, you know. So that's it. You know, the Vinesh, Ravi, and who was the other person from the school?
Pallavi and
Rohini.
Rohini. Ha ha ha. So next time you four has to present. It is your job now, because till now all four of you have. Pallavi had presented, I think, but Vinesh no, Ravi no, and who is the fourth person?
Rohini.
Rohini. Rohini has also presented, I think. But I think next time, you know, on next this thing, please ensure that you do your presentation. Yeah. Because ultimately these parents are giving their children to you. So I think you know, it should not be just my demand, Gita and all that. Now you should demand that these people should present now. After the workshop, we have to know what are they experiencing, what is the, you know, what's happening to them. That's very important.
Sure.
All right, anything? So I think the presentation we will take up next time. So it will be good if individually also now you can start presenting, not in the collective. So that, you know, by the end everybody has one PowerPoint. You know, 10 days means at least there should be 25 pages, na? At least 10 days. Na? We are having this for, I mean, in between there are also number of days. Na? It's only 10 sessions, but it's almost like a month. So at least 30 pages should be there, no, in each document. Minimum, I think. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.